Real estate is about freedom, choice freedom, time freedom, and money freedom, and the impact you can make with that freedom. But it doesn't come without cost. Your freedom takes work. That's why Neil Timmins brings together the tools you need to build your real estate legacy, from tips and tricks to interviews with industry titans. It's all here in one place. Real Grit. Let's get to it.
What if I told you can make 20 times the return of a single family fix and flip on your next big deal? Well, it's actually possible. It's possible inside the world of commercial real estate. Say, I'm inviting you to this free challenge. It starts August 15th. It's totally free. It's a 5-day challenge where I'm going to take you and deep dive into the world of commercial real estate, more specifically, capital multiplier properties, what that is, how we identify them. I'm going to show you how to identify them, how to evaluate them, and how to lock them up risk-free. I'm going to give you all the paperwork to do it. It's totally free. You can sign up to join us at www.20xprofitchallenge.com/real grit. That's www.20xprofitchallenge.com/real grit. And I'll see you in the challenge. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Real Grit. I'm Neil Timmins. Hey, I've got Eric Martel here with me. Let me tell you a little about him. He purchased his first apartment building when he was just 18 years of age. Well, he was still in university. After graduation, he took a job as an actuary. There, he was dismayed to see hundreds of company pension plans being rolled over into 401ks in the really shifting the retirement risk to their employees. This made him reconsider traditional beliefs about retirement savings, made him question his role as an actuary. And so he joined the lucrative technology industry. A few years later, Eric lost his fortune in the dot-com crash of 2001. And he began starting to look for ways to earn passive income, stop trading time for money. He started various businesses, including a gourmet sauce company, eventually came back to his first love, real estate investing. He formed Martel Turnkey. After just 4 years of rapid success, he's able to retire from his day job. So I've got him here today. He's going to share some of his highs and lows, his experiences along the way. So I'm excited. Eric, how are you?
Nice to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, you bet. I appreciate you taking the time. Tell me, let's start at the beginning. What was your first entry point into real estate, your first investment?
So my first investment was that 8-unit apartment building when I was 18 years old. And then really my childhood was kind of like a very normal childhood. My parents living paycheck to paycheck and not really have an understanding of what business was about and how to make money beside having a job. So they had no clue how to make money beside having a job. But I knew at an early age, like I was probably like 9 or 10 years old, I remember that I knew that something was not right. I had talked to other people that were in businesses and I was asking questions to my parents as how come I like that. This guy has like a candy store. And I had this guy that started, that's just like a chip truck, French fries on the side of the road. And then that French fries he bought the lot that the truck was on. And then he built a restaurant on top of that. And then soon he had multiple restaurants and stuff like that. And I was just asking my parents, this is phenomenal. He just started selling fries and then fries and hot dogs and stuff like that. And look what he has now. This is amazing. I want to do that. But my parents couldn't really tell me how to do that and how that person was successful or anything like that. But I was on track to kind of understand that. When I was at university, I was introduced to this guy that was a real estate investor, and he basically became my mentor because I basically begged him to teach me what he knew because I knew that I couldn't get that from university. I couldn't get that from school.
Right.
I needed to get it from someone that knew how to do it. And he was just a regular guy. He was just a community college teacher. He was not teaching finance or math or anything special. I don't even know what he was teaching, but it was maybe it was geography or something like that.
Sure.
But it was nothing special. And he was certainly not smarter than anybody else that I knew. But somehow he managed to build a little bit of a real estate empire. He had a 36-unit apartment building. He was building a shopping center. He was building a nursing homes, all that kind of stuff. And with his mentorship, I basically bought my first apartment building with no money down, and it was still cash flowing at the end of the day.
Incredible. Fair to say that he had a wealth formula figured out for himself.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I was lucky enough to be introduced also to other investors and see what they were doing. They were doing a lot of value add. They would buy, buildings and stuff like that were distressed, and then they would renovate them. They would convert these. Some of these were they were apartments that were like maybe 4 bedrooms, and then they would convert them into 2 units.
Yep.
Maximizing the rent, all kinds of creative ways to add values to these buildings, maximizing the rent and the return. And then they would either operate them as rentals or they would resell them to other investors. But that's great. I mean, I saw all these people, what they were doing, how they were making money. Yeah. And it was fascinating.
Yeah. So you eventually get to the point where you start Martel Turnkey. Yeah. What was your core focus from an investment perspective there? What types of properties?
Just before Martel Turnkey came about, I mean, we were just out there to build a passive income portfolio. Yeah. One of my sons came to me and said, I want to be a real estate investor. And then I was just kind of like flashback from when I was 18 years old. And I said, okay, yeah, but let's try that again. And I had tried to invest in California, obviously in the Bay Area, and it's just the numbers didn't make sense for what I was trying to do. And so we kind of embarked on that journey. Eventually we said, no, we want to build a passive income portfolio. And then we tried to find things that would work in California still. In the numbers, again, didn't make sense.
Right.
And then we said, okay, well, let's just like go blank slate. Like if I want to build a passive income portfolio, like I don't have to buy it. I can't buy it here. So where would I buy it? And then started establishing some kind of criteria for that. I want to have a landlord friendly state. Mm-hmm. I want to have like low value in terms of housing. I want a slow demographic growth, population growth. I want good business, low unemployment. So I kind of set up some bunch of criteria like that to figure out where these markets are. And so this is when I came with like Memphis, Cleveland, St. Louis, Detroit. Detroit came a little bit later, but basically, Memphis, Cleveland, and St. Louis were the 3 that I started with. Yeah. And the first investment I did was in Memphis.
Sure.
So originally, the idea was we're just going to build our own passive income portfolio. That's it. And then that was building slowly. We bought one that was a great success. We refinanced it. Then we did 2 more, and then et cetera. And then we kind of grew it that way. Friends and families were asking us, like, what are you guys doing? And I said, well, we're investing in Memphis and Cleveland. They're just like, their mind kind of blew up.
Right.
It's just like, what do you mean Memphis? Why Memphis? Like, what are you talking about? So we explained kind of like our reasoning and our strategy. And then they said, okay, yeah, well, I want to invest with you, and so some of them became private money lenders. Other people, we actually did joint ventures with them until we got into the refinance portion of things. And some of them started asking us, I said, well, what if I want to buy after it's renovated, what if I want to buy it? Like, can I buy the finished product? And then we said, well, okay, yeah, we can do that.
Yeah.
And then that's kind of how it got started. We said, well, maybe there's a business here. Like maybe we can just go do this, blah, 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 and then sell it with a good margin, and then build our capital to kind of accelerate our passive income portfolio. So that's how Martel Turnkey started, and new website and properties and all of that, and then started building the team around that.
How do you handle the management of properties?
So third-party property management company, and these companies are great because they know what they're doing in that location for many times. They know for many years, they manage properties in all these areas. They know where we should invest to maximize the return. Yeah. So we really trust them.
For those of the audience who doesn't know what Turnkey is, maybe I'll define it and you clarify it for me. Turnkey is where you will go identify a property, dented and scratched perhaps. You got to get it. You're going to get it in a spot where it's in fine shape. You're going to put a tenant in place, and you're going to put the management company, in this case, a third property management company, in place. And so you've got an operating property, a tenant in it, paying rent. And from that point, it's a turnkey investment opportunity. You sell the property in that state and hand this over to somebody else.
Yep. Cash flowing from day one.
From day one. Yep.
Yeah. We're actually putting all the pieces together. So the financing, the property management, insurance, we connect all the dots.
And your markets are primarily cash flow driven markets. I suspect that's how you were attracted to them.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Now this turns out they also appreciate.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we've seen like 15, 18% appreciation year over year in the last couple of years in the markets where we invest. So some of it is our own appreciation, obviously, because we invested in these areas. So the price of properties went up, but the rent also went up. So it's just great markets.
Fair to, I suspect. Do you eat your own cooking? Do you invest in the same exact areas in which?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what attracted you from the first place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, we started by investing there for us, and then other people wanted to buy. So then we started selling these properties. Then we really did a lot of selling to build our capital. We bought apartment buildings in Memphis. We had like 5 apartment buildings. And now we're doubling down also on the passive income. This is a great time for us. We think to buy high inflation. So you want to use leverage on these income producing assets like real estate rentals. So that's the best way to do it, to fight inflation and don't have to chase returns.
Does it feel a little bit like for you, life has come full circle in the sense of as a child, you identify a guy selling chips who then stacked on a business and stacked on another one. And before you know it, he's got a little empire. And it sounds exactly like you started off doing something for yourself. And this whole thing has continued to grow because you fill a need in the community for others.
Exactly. I mean, I'm always trying to kind of solve problems. So, I solve problems for myself. And, in this particular case, there's the problems that a lot of people have. A lot of people want to have passive income. They want to maybe be financially free, retire early, or just retire. So, I'm solving that problem. And everything we do, I'm just continue to solve problems. We had problems with title insurance. So we started our own title company. We saw problems in getting deals. So we started our wholesaling company. So we just kind of did that. And more recently is that, we also identified a lot of our investors, they didn't have the $30,000 down to buy that single family rental. So now we launched a tokenized real estate fund where we buy actually single family rentals in a portfolio. So an investor can buy with as little as $50, buy a piece of that portfolio. So you get, full circle here, you get the full portfolio. It's cash flowing, it's appreciating, it's professionally managed. And eventually this is going to be open to open markets on the blockchain. And then you'll be able to sell your tokens potentially with an increased market value as well for the value of the token.
I'm curious, what had you go down the tokenized path versus just creating a fund and selling shares in a more traditional sense, if you will?
Yeah, a lot of the things that when you do these funds, typically they're kind of more reserved for the accredited investors, and they kind of stay at that point. They have high limits and all of that. And the reason for this is that it's not cost efficient for them to go down and then do a Reg A and opening up to everybody else. So they'd rather just collect money from, 100 people, the accredited investors, and there you go. You have your 40 or your $50 million that you're looking for. So it's much more efficient.
Yeah.
But we thought about that. We thought also the private REIT, we thought about doing it that way. Mm-hmm. And it solves part of the problem. But again, it's going to be only accredited investors are going to be in there. Right. The money is going to be locked in for a long time. So you miss a lot of the liquidity. With the blockchain, these tokens, you would be able to sell one more or, your entire portfolio of tokens on an open exchange and then trade these tokens there. So that's the advantage. And the minimum investment would be $50. So right now it's open for accredited investors because that's kind of like the process that we're following. Mm-hmm. We're in the process also of doing the Reg A filing with the SEC so that any investors can invest in the portfolio.
Like a traditional fund where you would end up with, some sort of certainly cash flow and distribute that cash flow out to shareholders. Same or similar type of situation occur with the tokens?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So these cash flow or the distributions are actually going to be issued directly in their digital wallet.
Into the tokens. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. I like how progressive that is. And certainly with everything is transpiring in that kind of crypto world, if you will, in a lot of security functions, a lot of positivity taking place there. And I think we're just scratching the surface of what's to come.
Absolutely. We're the first one that do like portfolio of real estate rentals on the blockchain. There are some other players that are pretending to be, And because they're not on the blockchain, they're just fractionalizing real estate.
Yep.
There are other ones that are doing real estate on the blockchain, but they're doing it in one house at a time, which I think kind of like diminishes the possibility of trading these tokens later on an open market. For us, I mean, this is a portfolio, so we're going to have 1 million tokens. It's going to be much, you would be able to trade that on the, you have enough liquidity and enough marketability and visibility, I think, on an open exchange to so that it actually works. The market would actually work.
I would agree with your assessment there. I think like singular house, you'd be extraordinarily limited in what that looks like. It seems like it serves itself or potentially could serve itself well in a portfolio basis or on a commercial side. You need some meat, if you will. It needs to be big enough in order to have some interest. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. If it's a single property, like an apartment building, then it makes more sense, definitely. Right. But a lot of them are just single family rental, but one house, and then they fractionalize it into multiple tokens. And that's a little bit, I could be wrong, but I think it's a little bit more problematic, I think, for the liquidity side of things, the risk side of things also, because then you're kind of like, you're stuck to that house. If you want to diversify, you have to basically spread your multiple tokens across different properties.
Talk to me, you've written a book, so talk to me about that and, helping people, as you said earlier, get to financial freedom, get to retirement, retire earlier, or just retire at all. Yeah,
exactly. So for me, it was, I just wanted to kind of share kind of like the journey and stuff like that. And that's kind of how it started. I was working with an editor, and then she was asking me all kinds of insightful questions. Yeah. And it was very reflective. It was really like, it brought me a lot of introspection and understanding of why I was successful and why I am where I am today. So the book that I wrote is very different than the book that I wrote originally. Yeah. And it's much more organized in terms of, it's really a roadmap. It's really a manual for achieving financial freedom. So I talk about the first few chapters, I talk about mindset and how to get your mindset the right shape, the right way, getting rid of limiting beliefs and all that kind of stuff. So a number of techniques for that. Then we talk about kind of the basics of kind of like a little bit of the numbers and kind of like what we're looking for, and then the process from getting into these the real estate investment. So there's a couple of interesting tools in there. Like, one of them is a strategic alignment tool that is pretty important, because I was talking to a lot of people, a lot of other new investors at different meetups. And it's just like they kept changing strategy, or they would go into take a course, like they would book a course, and then one day they would be doing wholesaling, another day they would be doing mobile home parks, and another day they would be BRRRR, and then they would be, just like shiny objects. Right. And then they were kind of like looking at the returns and say, oh, this is easy, but that strategic alignment tool is really about kind of like putting all that together. What's your goal? Is your goal is to achieve financial freedom? So what are the strategies that are going to help you achieve financial freedom? So I list all the different strategies. I put them into quadrants, and I say, well, this is where you need to be based on the amount of time you have available, the amount of money you have available, the risk that you want to take. These are the 10 kind of strategies you need to focus on. Yeah. These are great too. There's a lot of different ways to make money in real estate, but these are not for you right now. You're working full time, right? This is what you need to focus on. And then we talk about all these other things. Then we focus, the book really helps them focus on what is important and how to execute on some of these strategies.
To be able to get there. The name of the book is what?
Stop Trading Your Time for Money.
Stop Trading Your Time for Money. Boy, that's a beautiful name.
Thank you.
Real estate allows you to get there too.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, this is probably, especially in a high inflation environment, real estate is probably the best way to get that with leverage. I mean, it's incredible. So it's a great time. Money is made in these kind of time, in these difficult times. This is where the money is shifting around from all over the place. Sometimes it goes from the not so wealthy to the wealthy.
Correct.
Sometimes the other way around. So it's a great way to pay attention and invest correctly.
Yeah, when during times of uncertainty, there's no doubt about that. Speaking of times of uncertainty, I want to take you back to 2001. The market had crashed. You're in the technology environment. What was that like, really personally for you to work your way through that era?
Yeah, so that was very interesting. So I had stock options. So because I was working in tech, and in 2000 I was in Toronto at the time. I moved to California in 2000, and then I was kind of working and then kind of like setting up my team here. I had my money at my stockbroker and all of that. And I was diversifying. But I was diversifying in the same asset class, which was the stock market. So this is where my stock options were, and the money that I had kind of converted out of that stock options, they were also in the stock market.
So let me elaborate on that. Your stock options are in the stock market, clearly.
Yeah.
Your liquidity assets, your liquid assets are in the stock market. Yeah. And your income stream is in technology. Pretty much,
in technology.
Your exposure is in technology, almost in all three avenues, right?
Good point. Yeah, good point. Yeah. So I didn't even see that exposure of the job, but but that's true. And I went to my broker, financial advisor, and say, "Oh, you've made it. You can quit. You don't have to work anymore. You can quit. Just sell everything, and you're done and stuff like that." But I was afraid of taxes, and I was looking for another investment and all of that. I was kind of dragging my feet. Yeah. And I was looking at I just arrived in California, so I was looking for rental properties and things that would cash flow with a great return and all of that. Yeah. I couldn't find anything that really made sense. And then I said, okay, well, I'm just going to keep going on the stock market and invest in the stock market. And then when the dot-com crash happened, I was basically wiped out. The stock options basically where most of the money was basically wiped out. I had a little bit, the actual stock that I owned, then they were kind of like half of what they were before. Right. So that was a shocker. So what I got out of that though, is that I was not in control of what was going on. I kind of knew that there's some exuberance on the market at the time. I was kind of trying to find other things to invest in, but I was not in control of the companies I was investing in, for one thing. So I would all these stocks and companies that CEOs were, especially in the dot-com era and stuff like that. You knew that some of these CEOs, they should have never been CEOs. But I was also not able to control my own finance, my own investments. I didn't have time. I was working full time, and then I was trusting other people to invest my money. Yeah. And so that's why I tried to change that dynamic. I want to be in control. And if I fail, at least it's going to be my fault. Right. So I kind of shifted everything and started investing in more, tried to find cash flowing businesses. So we did like a low carb grocery store. My wife was instrumental in that. Then we did a gourmet sauce company. We did some, different like catering, like food. We were foodies. So we just went around that. And then eventually it was just like, these things are not quite working. I also tried to do some kind of technology kind of application and all of that, which is, there's like 10,000 technologies that fail before, I have one or two that works and makes millions of dollars. Right. So I was in the 10,000 category. Then I went back. I was kind of avoiding real estate. And then when one of my sons came to me and said, "You want to be a real estate investor?" That kind of like, okay, it kind of brought me back into it. And then I said, well, okay, let's make this work. Like, what does it take to make it work? And it kind of, that changed my life really. So very grateful.
To get you back to what you wanted was total control of the outcomes, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So now I'm totally in control. Well, totally in control. At least I know what's going on. I know what's going on with the market. I have all the levers of my business. So I say, okay, well, we need to do this. We need to do more JV. We need to share the risk with investors, or no, we need to do this and do more PML and stuff like that. We'll take the risk because it's better, that kind of stuff. Right. So I'm in control of how my funds are being deployed, how the company is operating, and that's much better that way, instead of trusting some CEO on Wall Street.
Yeah. Right. Let's do this. I want to move into my final segment, what I call 4 for impact. Yeah. Your favorite quote is what?
My favorite quote is, it doesn't matter how much money you have, you're always short a couple of millions. Point of that is that the one thing you need to figure out is you need to network with other investors, other people that have money. You're always raising money.
Yeah.
You may not get the cash right away, but you're always in a mode where you say, hey, this is what I do. And, the kind of investments that I do and stuff like that. And then, hey, what kind of investments you do? And maybe we can invest together one day. And, what are you looking for? Because it doesn't, and it's, I see that all the time.
It's so true.
We invest, we want to grow the business and stuff like that. I say, well, I need another $1 million. I need this. I need $500,000. I need, so as you grow, you need more fun to fuel your ideas, to fuel your business.
Yeah. What do you think it is that holds most investors back from hitting their personal next level, whatever that is?
I think what's hitting them back, I think mindset is definitely a big one. I think my other favorite quote is actually a book as well, is what got you here won't get you there. So there's a skill gap as well that needs to be acquired. When you are trying to do that, when you're trying to achieve financial freedom, you want to make that your singular goal. This is the thing that you're going to focus on entirely. Your job, when you introduce yourself to other people, you go to meetups and you talk to other people, you're not working as a software engineer. You're a real estate investor.
That's right.
And then that job that you have, this is just paying the bill. This is my side gig, my job.
Right.
And then I'm a real estate investor. And this is a mind shift that needs to happen. And then mindset that needs to happen. And then kind of acquire the skills to get there. So, and the skills are not that difficult, especially in real estate. The skills are not that difficult to acquire.
That's right.
Right. So it's accessible to everybody else. Once you make that shift, I think that's critical. Then after that, you kind of decide, this is why that strategic alignment tool is important, is that you want to focus on the right strategy to get you to your goal based on the time, the money that you have, and the capabilities that you have.
Yeah.
And then taking action, I would say, is I know you asked only for one, but there's so many roadblocks. But then it's taking action. It's not be afraid to take action.
Right.
And people are asking for too much. They want to have perfect information.
Yes, correct.
And you're never going to have perfect information. And so it's the same in this economy. People want to have a prediction. Oh, is the interest rate going to go up? Is the interest rate going to go down? Is inflation? Right. What's going to happen to the real estate? No, you don't want to try to predict. You want to be prepared for all the outcomes. Right. If the market goes down, I'm good. That's why I'm in rental properties.
Right.
This is going to cash flow. Even the stock market crashes and I have like 50% depreciation in value, I'm still okay. Yeah. So you need to be prepared for all eventuality. And this is kind of how you manage your risk.
Outside of real estate, what are you most passionate about?
So I'm pretty excited about the blockchain. I think the fact that Bitcoin crashed, I think it's great for me. Because there's a lot of things that are not really useful, I would say, in the blockchain technology. I think blockchain technology itself is great, but I think the fact that some of these coins have disappeared, and some of these kind of like crazier ideas have disappeared, I think it's going to focus people's attention to what's real and what can actually work. And this is why the Martel Invest Tokenized Real Estate Fund, I think it's great, because this would be one of the only tokens out there that is backed by a company, by a real estate company. And I think that field of security tokens is really going to open up. We're going to have a lot more companies that are going to be able to be on the blockchain and to get funding for their ideas. And right now, real estate, it's very hard to get funding in real estate. You can't go and do an IPO on the stock market and get funding for real estate. You can't. It's very hard to get that done. So that's why this route is going to open up a whole new kind of opportunities, democratizing real estate investing and bring it to the masses. What's your favorite way to make an impact in the community? I think the social media, I think it's one of my favorite ways to do that. I spend a lot of time on social media. I mean, I'm on TikTok as well. The TikTok is a great platform. I never thought I would be on TikTok, but Eric Martel official on TikTok and Instagram. And this is great because, I share a lot of crazy ideas with people, and Some of them, they say, you're crazy. And some of them, they say, actually, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
And so I kind of like push the envelope on kind of people's understanding of achieving financial freedom and investing in real estate and all that and blockchain. So I like that. I get the interaction, the engagement and all of that. So really enjoy that.
For people who want to connect with you, they want to follow, they want to learn more about what you do, where can they find you?
So I have my website, personal website, it's marteleric.com. So in there, you're going to see the YouTube channels that I have, as well as, the book, everything that I have there, and also my different social media. But on TikTok, it's the Eric Martel Official. On the Instagram as well. So you can reach out there. On Facebook, I'm on eric.martel.ca. And so that's about it.
Perfect. We'll make sure we get all those links down below in the show notes for everybody. Eric, I really appreciate you taking the time to connect. We've got a great story coming through, really some ups and downs to begin with, to get into this industry and really finding a terrific sweet spot for you. And now, kind of mirroring your love and your skills at the same time between real estate and between, the tech side of things with a tokenized real estate component to it. It's pretty exciting. And I'm excited to see how things continue to develop and move forward in that realm.
Yeah. Sounds good.
I really appreciate the time.
My pleasure.
Thanks so much. Hey, for everybody here at Real Grit, I'm Neil Timmins, reminding that real estate requires real grit. See you next time. I'm inviting you to this free challenge. It starts August 15th. It's totally free. It's a 5-day challenge where I'm going to take you and deep dive into the world of commercial real estate, more specifically capital multiplier properties, what that is, how we identify them. I'm going to show you how to identify them, how to evaluate them, and how to lock them up risk-free. I'm going to give you all the paperwork to do it. It's totally free. You can sign up to join us at www.20xprofitchallenge.com/real grit. That's www.20xprofitchallenge.com/real grit. And I'll see you in the challenge. If you like our content and want more, you can access it at realgritpodcast.com. You hear it guest after guest. Instinctively, you already know it. But let me call it out. The most expensive action is inaction. The real estate market is full of opportunities. You just need to uncover them. You can build a business that lasts for years, makes monumental impact in the lives of those that you love. It's not just about business, but about the freedom you get because of it. Have you ever heard the saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. I believe that partnering is essential. In fact, I partner with hardworking investors all the time. The point is that you can get a lot further with the right partner. Let me say it again, the right partner. If you've ever thought about partnering with anyone, or if you have a partner now, I encourage you to download my free Partner and Profit Guide, which includes the top 5 must-answer questions to evaluate a profitable partnership. You can find it at www.legacyimpactpartners.com. I'll see you in the next episode.